Hey there, welcome conscious fashion friends to Inside Fashion Design's weekly community conversations. This is where you can meet and greet with a fashion industry pro. This is your opportunity not only to hear from the experts and their knowledge and advice, but also to connect with them directly to grow your network and use their learnings to level up and empower you in your own career. For 30 minutes each week, we will have a quick chat, the perfect morning break where you will walk away with some good nuggets of advice, tips and tricks, and two of my all-time favorite things, inspiration and community connection. I love building connections because it strengthens our support system. You grow your community and you grow your support, and we can all succeed together. I am continuously finding amazing people through LinkedIn and referrals, and 99.9% of the time, these folks also love to connect, share their experiences and stories, offer advice, and even more recommendations and suggestions. That's why each week you will find us here chatting with a fashion industry pro. So hop on in, join the conversation, say hello, ask a question, share your own tips, stories, favorite resources, or own piece of advice. Follow me on LinkedIn so you don't miss out. Every single week, we'll be chatting with a fashion industry pro. Are you a fashion industry pro and you want to share your story? Message me and let's talk. Who knows, you could be our next featured guest. Thanks for joining us today. Now, let's dive into today's session. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Britta Cabanos. I am the founder of Inside Fashion Design. Today, we are talking about values and your personal beliefs. And part of Inside Fashion Design's values are learning, growing, and connecting. So part of this weekly community conversations are to do exactly that. We are meeting and chatting with industry pros. And today our featured guest is Daniela Caine. And each week we do these 30-minute quick conversations so that you can leave with some inspiration, some bite-sized knowledge and nuggets that will inspire you, give you insight, and give you food for thought for applying to your own work. So I would love to hear where you're from. If you're joining us today, shoot us a note send us a little message, tell us where you're coming in from, and perhaps what you do in the industry. If you are working as an industry pro, we'd love to hear what you do. And like we said in the beginning, part of this is connecting. So feel free to connect with each other. This is a great space to ask questions, introduce yourself, connect with our community, because we do feel that we're all stronger together. And part of our vision and aim for doing this each week is to grow our community and our support system. So Daniela Caine is with us today. She is a multi-talented person who has done some amazing work in the industry. She is a design director, a founder, an entrepreneur. She's a transformational coach, a breathwork facilitator, and gosh, what else, Daniela? Many things. And so thrilled to have her here today discussing personal values and beliefs, because if we can understand our own values and beliefs, then we have a better guide for applying that to our work. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Daniela and ask her to share a little bit more about her background and experiences, and then we'll dive into the conversation of identifying your personal values and beliefs and applying that to your own work. So Daniela, welcome.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so inspired by the intro video. Like, how amazing is that? Like, I'm so inspired how you're always up leveling, and yeah, you're just raising the bar continuously, Britta. So congratulations.
Thank you. I'll just chime in because you made me think of something. As the industry feels so heavy sometimes because it's so overwhelming, and all the damage and all the things we hear about, the amount of pollution and all this.
Mm.
So oftentimes I find that working in the industry feels very just kind of heavy, and so finding ways to make it
Mhm.
positive and uplifting and hopeful is a big I guess aim, and
Yeah,
bringing in people like you that can help do that is I really appreciate, and that's what we hope to do here today. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you've nailed that. And also what you're saying, or what you just said, that the industry feels heavy right now. I also believe I can feel that too. And I believe that the industry is going through a bit of an identity crisis right now.
mm,
So, on an individual level, it might look like you've been laid off, or you're trying to pivot, or you've been passed over by promotions, but or you're even in a position of power and still feel powerless to affect meaningful change. I believe that what all connects us is that we feel like deep inside of us that we have way more potential that's like buried inside of us, and that we can't quite bring out, and we don't know quite why. Um,
mm,
so I think that's really what's happening, and fashion should be so fun. It should
yeah,
actually be fun and joyful, and it's like we can play with our identity. So
right.
yeah, it made my head spin a little bit when you said all of the things that I did, and it's true.
Well, you do. You do all those things. And but what
But
is
in
so
sequence.
amazing, what's amazing to me though, Daniela, is that you have figured out a way to combine all of your training. I mean, you have talent, but you've also spent hours and hours and hours training, getting certified, education. So it's not like you just were gifted these. Like, you
Yeah,
worked very, very hard, and you have brought it all together to create your persona, your brand, yourself, your services. It's all packaged so nicely. And so I think it's just amazing that you've been able to um, pull together all these different components, including things like discovering your values and your beliefs, because those in the past hadn't really been looked at or applied to design work.
yeah,
So bringing that element in again, I think that does raise the bar too for just the meaning behind your work, and
yeah.
making a significant, or making an impact in a way that means a lot to you. So
Mm, thank you. Well, thank you for saying that. And I can also say that there is something always larger at play here, that it is to be discovered. So, like from my background, yes, I did lead some of the largest volume generating design teams for Adidas, Nike, and other global brands. And I also got laid off. So I had that experience being laid off at the height of the big recession in 2008, and then I had to pivot, and then I built a multi six-figure design consultancy business. And during that time, and I saw in your teaser there was videos of Engine 9. Through this agency work, I built a platform, a product development platform. It still is, you're using
it's
it and people are using it. And then what happened is that my daughter got sick with really a devastating autoimmune crisis, um, and that led me to just leave the industry. And I think I can speak for a lot of people who feel conflicted by exactly what you said, like all of these things that are happening, and the damage, or the harm we are doing to people and the planet. And then I left the industry, and I felt like, okay, I'm done with that. I thought.
Mhm.
Um, and I went then together with my daughter on a years long, still ongoing healing journey. But I was very, grateful, because I ended up having but I experienced a series of these transcendental awakening moments, and that really changed my life, and that made me so curious. And I am a deep digger, so I like to learn. Like you, I'm like a constant learner. And so I studied, and I wanted to understand what happened, and I studied, and I then got certified in multiple modalities, including energy leadership coaching and transformational, women-centered transformational coaching and facilitation. And then and now I'm doing this 360 back into working with folks in the industry. So in the apparel and footwear industry, specifically leaders that are in creative or who consider themselves creative and visionary leaders. That doesn't mean you have to have a design director position or a design manager position. I really believe that we always lead ourselves. And I'm so excited because through that journey, values have become really an important aspect as a navigation system that, as you said earlier, we haven't really utilized yet. And I'm excited. I'll be teaching this fall a class on that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, we have slides to show. Can we just pop those up on the screen?
Let's see. Yeah,
There
so
we go.
basically so this is what I just talked about, right? So who I worked for, and I just like talked it out. And so on the next slide, that's what we wanted to talk about specifically here. Yeah, it's about values, why values are important, what happens if you are not aligned with your values, the mistakes many of us creatives make, and how we can learn about what our values are. How can we find out what those are? They are important. So let's go step by step. Why are they important? They are your operating system. They guide your decisions. So for example, if you have a value of creativity, of innovation, of sustainability, if that is a value that you have, and you work in a company that is very growth oriented, profit focused, and doesn't value creativity because a lot of it is just, copy paste kind of. And there's, just copy this thing and we'll make it.
Right.
And you will likely be in a lot of pain and a lot of internal conflict. You might have, and it might show up in having conflict with coworkers or having a conflict with your boss.
Mm-hmm.
And it might even show up being in somewhat of a toxic environment. So it's really important for us to understand what are our values before we make decisions. And
Do you have I know you do have a process, but do you have maybe a suggestion just for our guests today on how they can kind of do some self-reflecting and think about what their values are? How would you suggest going about that?
Yes. So, well, in the class later this year, we do have an ultimate values assessment form where you can go really deeply. But what you can already do, Google online, like a list of values, and sit down and journal. What you could also do is, I think even Brené Brown has something on her website about values.
I love her.
Yeah, just Google Brené Brown values. She has a list on there, and sit down and just look at first of all, just scan through it, see which ones jump out. Mm-hmm. Just trust your intuition. See which ones jump out at you and write them down. And then just journal about them, see what comes up.
Yeah.
You
I
know
know
this. Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of online, places you can grab that, and even on Inside Fashion Design, I did one blog story a while back that was all about values, and one of the images in the blog post was just a page of words. And like
Yes.
you're saying, you just go through and see
Yeah.
what resonates with you and just circle
Mm-hmm.
'em. And then you kinda narrow down and keep working through, like, thinking in a process and come up with your top, whatever, 5 or something, and that can become, like, your personal sort of mission statement and applying it to your work as
Mm-hmm.
well. So
Yeah.
it should align across both, right? And I was when you were talking earlier, I was thinking back to my days of working corporate and kind of toxic environment or not getting along with coworkers, and they didn't value personal values. That wasn't even a consideration. So even if
Well,
you knew they were, or you kind of knew in
yeah.
your mind what's important to you, it's still like you're just doing your work, you're meeting your deadlines, you're meeting your style count or whatever it may be, and your values just don't really weren't a consideration. So I feel it's much more important now, and
Mm-hmm.
it will affect your brand and your product and of course your life and how you feel and getting rid of those toxic kind of situations. So
Yeah. Yeah. What you're speaking into is exactly where the conflict is coming from, because everyone has different values. There may be overlap, but there might be quite big discrepancies, and if we don't really understand what our values are, we just think that this person is really awful. But this person, while you might have a value of authenticity, this other person might have a value of achievement. And in order to achieve certain things, they put on, this is what we do in corporate anyway, right? We put on a corporate mask. We know we go into environments where there might be a zero tolerance policy. So you have to guard yourself. You have to tone down yourself a little bit in order to work and function within the organizations. And each organization has different values too. Um, and then the leaders have different values, and where things don't work out is if the company has this set of values but the leaders have another one. So you can depersonalize your experience when you understand that,
yeah,
because you're then saying, oh, okay, this is what's happening, this is why there is conflict.
right. Yeah, it's great to be able to recognize that, and then you can manage it a little bit better
Yeah,
when you
yes,
understand.
definitely. um yes, because it's so there's like two, how can I best say it? There's two, we are like a bit of a split personality. We have our awareness, or the human, the self in the body, and we have the self in the mind. Most of the time we are hanging out in the mind. We are, yeah, this one is, maybe we can take the slides off.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We can
this is
remove this for
related.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
thank
have yes, so we have these two minds. Like, for example, the easiest thing to say is you are on a date, and there is this person, and they are handsome, successful, eloquent, um, and by all means would be a good catch. But in your body, it's like, no, I hope he doesn't kiss me. I hope he doesn't lean in.
you.
But in your mind, it's like, but he's a good catch. He would
Yeah,
give the
why? Why not?
like all of these things. So here's what's happening often for people, especially people who are interested in sustainability and who are leaders, like visionary leaders, creative and visionary leaders themselves, is we have a need for financial security. I mean, this is a very important need. And we go into interviews, and we sometimes maneuver and manipulate our way of looking at the company because we want it to work so much.
Mhm.
that we are talking ourselves into saying yes.
Yeah.
Instead of in our bodies is like,
Instead
I
of
don't think
listening.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what this values, when you know about your values, you have a navigation system where you can support your brain, your mind, your beliefs with your inner navigation system.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That does. And that makes a big difference. And if you have that tool to guide you in decisions, yeah. I wish I had known that, 10 years ago. So,
Yeah.
well, let's move on. So,
Mhm.
you are one of our coaches for an upcoming course, the Conscious Fashion Design Academy, and super excited to be preparing and offering this because it's a fully comprehensive program where it takes place over 3 months. We're bringing in instructors from around the world, you being one of them, and building the foundation of your work, whether it's your own business or just in your career, starting with these kind of foundations, your purpose, your why, and your values, so that as you build and go through the process and apply it to your own business or your work, you have that foundation set. So
Mhm.
you are teaching this class on personal values and
Mhm.
identifying and how you apply that to conscious fashion design. So
Mhm.
maybe talk a little bit more about what your plan is for the class, kind of what you'll cover. There's going to be probably exercises and things that the attendees will actually do so that they can leave with, a list
Mhm.
or direction on what to do next, the next steps for using and applying that to your work.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm very excited about this. And it's not necessarily a class, even though it's more of it's a facilitated process, immersive process where where we are going to your, where we're taking the structured mind that is chattering all the time and it's telling you what to do and what not to do and what to fear, that kind of keeps you down and keeps you safe. We're putting that to one side, all the shoulds and the how to's, we're putting that to one side, and then we're going deep into your own energy and your own values, and really crafting your inner navigation system. It's it's something to experience, to be honest, rather than to talk about. But I can explain how this shows up with you making decisions from like a values based foundation. um, when I started developing this conscious clothing line Coryphée that I envisioned and manifested. When I did that, I first started out doing it the exact same way that we would do it in the industry.
Mhm.
I made the designs. I sourced fabrics. I made sure that it was very specific fabrics that I wanted to bring in. I found a manufacturer down in LA. I went there and I should have been elated because everything was falling into place. Everything, there was no problem. But internally, my energy told me no. My energy said this is not the right way. And my brain said, but it's really hard to get somebody. You're a nobody. Yeah, you've done some things in the past, but this is completely new. You have low minimum order quantities. Nobody wants to work with you, so should be grateful and just build a business to a certain degree until you can then grow and do what you actually want to do, and then do what you actually want to do. So this idea of having to do something first and then do what you actually want to do. And this is where I realized this is not aligned. This
Yeah.
is absolutely not aligned. And so I sat down and I journaled, what do I want? What do I actually want? And then things fell into place. I basically canceled the entire thing. I canceled I said, I'm not going to do it how we've always done it. This was not why I started it in the first place. It doesn't feel exciting to me at all. And in the end, I was able to do what I wanted to do in the first place. And here's the thing, though. And this is like what we've got backwards. And it took me a long time to figure this out. We only look at the surface, what's available to us, and we are looking at the status quo. We know what we don't want, but we don't take time really of figuring out what we do want. But that is the key, like to figure out what you actually want.
Yeah.
Before anything else, just figure out what you want first.
I think part of it is we don't even allow ourselves the time to think about that. And when you're working full time and maybe have a family and kids, like you just go through the motions, you do what you need to do day after day after day, you repeat, and then months go by and you haven't sat down and even really allowed yourself time to reflect or to think about these kind of things because you just got to do what you got to do and just keep going. And so it's kind of those pauses, like when your daughter got sick, that you have that moment to really stop and pause. And so I'd encourage everyone, even just an afternoon with coffee, just to think about these kind of things and allow yourself to really kind of examine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah, or go for a walk. I know you and I, we can't quite walk the way that we want to.
we are both hobbling. We both had Daniela.
Surgeries earlier this year.
Yep, Daniela has a broken leg. I've got an ankle replacement. I'm limping around, but I cannot wait to get back out in nature. And yeah, nature bathing, walking in nature. Those are such good ways
That's good energy to move, just to go and walk and clear your head. And what do you want? Just that is like the biggest question. It feels so luxurious. What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you want out in your life? You are designers, you are creatives.
Yeah.
You know how to create something.
Yeah.
You really know, like, what do you want? Design it.
And you may not even know what you want, and that's okay too. It's kind of examining it and then maybe going through some process of questioning and kind of figuring it out so that you can, because I think in the past, like I'm kind of like you, like interested in so many different things. I'm like, oh, I'll start this business, or then I want to do that. And oh, but I also want to write blogs. And so, it's like really kind of thinking about what is that ultimate that you want and what do I need to do to get there. And
Yes.
we could talk and talk about this so much more. We have like 4 minutes left.
Gosh. Okay.
So I'd love to open it up for any questions, comments. Anyone wants to connect with Daniela or ask questions to either of us, please chime in. And then as we're doing that, Daniela, what do you recommend, or do you have favorite, I don't know, tips, tricks, resources for the attendees to leave with? I'll say, well, the landscaper is outside mowing the lawn right outside my door here.
Of course, always.
Yes. So yeah, any I don't know, favorite recommendations, anything like that? Takeaway. Or do you want to do? I know you also had an exercise too. So
yeah,
I
think we might. One tip: if you don't know what you want, hey, I get it. I mean, I've been there too, where I was like, I don't even know what I like anymore, because all of the expectations, all of the work that we do, the expectations we have for ourselves, the impact that we want to make, and then having a family to raise, or there's always life to attend to. Become curious. Okay, this is a trick. This is I wonder what would excite me. I wonder what it might be, and then go for a walk and just see what comes in. And so there might be this thing, it's like, oh, I'm just making this up. Yeah, just make it up. Just write it down. And I see Brianne here. I love having you here. I just see that Brianne and Lorraine and Sandra from
Sandra.
California and Shelby. Hi. It's
Yeah, thank you for
amazing.
joining us. So, um, everyone, please feel free to connect with either of us on LinkedIn. There's information on the website insidefashiondesign.com about the courses in the fall, these sessions that Daniela will be a part of. We'd love to have you ask questions and yeah, just connect. We love to connect. So thank you for joining us today. I mean, we have 1 minute.
1 minute, okay, 1 minute. So I would love to invite you if you want to dig a little bit deeper and learn a powerful framework um, for that can really change your life. Actually, it was one of these key things that put me onto my journey, and I believe that those transformational these experiences that I had, these awakening moments that I had, is because of that information that I will share in this online workshop. It's called Design Your Narrative. It's actually just in a week, so next Thursday at noon Pacific.
Okay.
I'll have you there. It's free, totally free, and you can just put in your email and see me there. And if you've done it before, that's totally fine. I'll love to have you.
Yeah. So if they miss this QR code, can they also find this on your website or
Um, yes, and the
your
website is,
LinkedIn page?
it's on LinkedIn, my events, and then it's also, if you are on my website, which is just danielacaine.com, wait for the pop-up and it will lead you to the sign-up page.
Okay. And I can't speak highly enough of you and your workshops. I've had the pleasure of attending your workshops and even a 3-day retreat that we did. And I always leave a better mind, better spirit, and inspired. So I encourage you to attend this free one for sure. And thank you again for everyone for joining us today, and reach out with comments and suggestions. We have many guests coming in the following weeks, and we'd love to get feedback from you too. So thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you, Daniela.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.